All right, you guys clicked on this video. You know what this video is about. If you work in the film industry, you might be obese. You probably are obese. Most people that I see are overweight, and it might be kind of controversial. A lot of people might think that, that's kind of crazy to say, especially since there are some, really fit people that do specific, very specialized jobs in the film industry. I probably say that, oh, you work in the film industry and you're fat or overweight, and you're probably in your head, you're thinking about that one Steadicam operator who's like super fit and they're really agile and they probably weigh like 113 pounds or whatever, but they're an exception, and not everybody who works in the film industry is super fit. And I'd say that probably most of us that work in the film industry end up getting overweight because of the poor lifestyle that we have. It's we're on your feet for most of the time, but you're usually just standing there, and the crafty and the lunch and the stuff that we're eating when we're on set is usually terrible. It's really bad for you, and it's just not an environment usually where you can bring your own lunch or heat it up or follow any sort of a meal plan. So most people are they're eating pizza, and then their final meal at like 2 o'clock in the morning, they're eating pizza, and yeah, we're all just getting fat, and you're away from your house and you're away from your family for so long. So yeah, I know it's controversial, but it's just something that I had to put out there. And I think a lot of you guys will agree with me. If you do, let me know in the comments down below. But you might see this in your own life. The more often you work, the more often that you're on set and you're, away from your normal day-to-day routine, where maybe you're healthy and you're going on your runs, you're going to the gym, doing your thing. And then, maybe your wife or your girlfriend or whoever is a significant other is cooking for you. And then you get out on set and you're putting all of your nutrition needs and your health basically in someone else's hands. And it's the producer's job to make sure that you're fed. It's the producer's job to make sure that you are getting the nutrition that you need. And, a lot of jobs in the film set actually are pretty physical. Like the one that you're probably thinking about is a grip. A grip, or anybody in G&E, an electrician, you're laying cable, you're doing some rigging, you're up and down on the ladder. But a lot of it is like hurry up and wait. You do your job, then you wait. Or you're a Steadicam operator, you do your performance, and then you sit and wait. You're a crane operator, you work with a couple, you bring some weights out of the truck and you set it all up, and then you just sit there on your butt. I used to know a crane operator who was extremely overweight. He was like 300 pounds. And he would get out of his truck and he would load up his crane and get everything going. And then he'd sit on the apple box for, 12 to 14 hours. And he wouldn't be able to move very much. And he would just eat and eat and eat the crafty and everything. And he would just get so overweight. And he ended up dying really, really young. I mean, he was only like in his 50s when he ended up dying, this crane operator. And just like the unhealthy lifestyle, the diabetes, the heart disease, that kind of stuff that just creeps up on people. Not to mention the stress. It's already a really stressful job working in the film industry. So, I don't know. It just really breeds a sort of environment for just unhealthy living. And most people are smoking cigarettes on set, and they're going out to the grip truck and going out back and smoking in between takes, and just trying to deal with stress and all this kind of stuff. It's just it's a bad lifestyle, man. And that kind of lifestyle, that the bad food, the stress, the inconsistent sleep. We're getting home like really late at night, and the sleep is like just not there. It's sometimes your call time could be really early in the morning, where you're waking up and you go to sleep at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and then you got to be back at like 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. or something ridiculous. Some of these turnarounds are just so unsafe. That can happen, and it really just throws off your whole routine, your circadian rhythm, all that kind of stuff. If you guys have worked in film industry for long enough and you're actually working on big shows and stuff, I'm sure you've experienced this kind of stuff. And people, you're hitting the coffee, you're hitting the energy drinks, you're hitting that kind of stuff, and you're trying to stay awake, you're trying to stay alert, but it's just not not a situation that you want to be in long term in your career, especially if you want to be there for your family, you want to have a family, you want to be able to get, have that longevity in your life and be able to sustain a career past like 25, 30 years old. Be 35 years old, 45, 55, 60 years old, and still be working in the film industry. What I noticed when I first got into this film industry, I noticed there was a lot of younger kids, like students, 25 years old, 28, 29 years old, 22 years old. I saw these producers and these camera operators, these DPs, 23 years old, 24 years old. They're so young and they're just going so hard with the energy drinks and the smoking and all this kind of stuff, but they're so young. And that type of lifestyle really just catches up to you. And I'm telling you, if you don't burn out, you're going to end up obese. You're going to end up being unhealthy. And this channel, I don't typically talk about camera gear too much. There's plenty of channels on YouTube that are in this camera niche that talk about equipment and that kind of stuff. I like to talk about more about the lifestyle, what it's actually like working in the film industry, whether you want to be a gaffer or you want to be a cinematographer or that kind of thing. If you really want to be in these type of jobs, you got to understand what it's like, the lifestyle, sitting on the dolly for hours and hours and hours and just trying to get through the day, drinking your espresso or whatever it is. It's like, this is what life is, in these careers. So yeah, what can we do about it? How can we stay, ahead of the curve? Prioritizing your sleep, prioritizing, trying to work with a schedule that is doable, and seeing that, we're not going into ridiculous amounts of overtime. I'm really against overtime. That's probably why I don't work as much as some people, is because I'm really against the overtime. I don't want to be, I used to do music videos and we used to go into overtime. We used to do 14-hour, 16-hour, 18-hour days, and it would just kill me. And I realized right off the bat that I stay away from music videos for that very reason. And sometimes you don't even get paid after working all that extra time. So it's not really worth the deterioration on your health and your just mental sanity. If you're more of a videographer and you kind of go directly to client and you don't have this, maybe it's just you to an agency and you can kind of set your own hours, or it's sort of a corporate type of job that maybe you're into and that's the sort of filmmaking that you do, then maybe you're able to set your schedule. Maybe you're able to go at 9 and get off at 6, and maybe it's real perfect and everything works out great. But most, if you're aspiring to be working in the movie industry, film industry, making narrative films like most of us want to do, our system is broken and it's very unhealthy, and you're going to end up fat. And a lot of us are fat and unhealthy. And it's something that I noticed myself is just getting out of shape and getting really just obese, and just you start feeling unhappy, and it's just not a great way to be. You're happy because you're on set and you're working, you're making money, but it's like two different goals. It's like your money and your career goes up and your health meter goes down, and then your health meter goes up and your career and your money goes down. And it's hard to maintain both of those meters like you're in a video game, and keep both of them up and going properly. That's one thing that we really need to work on, is just prioritizing your health so that you are not, dying at 60 years old if you want to stay in this industry. The life expectancy for these people who are working in this industry and eating this crappy, crafty food and the donuts and the jelly rolls and the fruit snacks and stuff like that, it's terrible. So we really should be aspiring to be doing better with that. And I hope that there's some sort of change. You really just need to take accountability of your own health and your own fitness and your own awareness. And I know a lot of people don't really prioritize that, but it's something really to think about if you really want to take this career seriously, if you really want to be in cinematography, if you really want to be in, lighting. The gaffers that I see that are doing this long term, they are in great shape because they're moving carts and they're picking up sandbags and they're moving heavy lights and this and that. There are a couple of gaffers that I know that are a bit obese and overweight, and I really don't know how they do it. They're constantly smoking and eating trash, and I can't see them keeping that up for much longer. It must be just a terrible way to live. But yeah, the people who I see who are really successful are fit and they're doing really well and they feel good, and they have a good work-life balance and it's sustainable for them. So my recommendation to you is to take care of yourself so that you can do this career well into the future. Or if you end up transitioning out of the film career and going into some other type of career, or retiring at a certain age, that you are not broken and not obese and not sick. And yeah, just take care of yourself. The best investment that you can do is towards your body. No new camera, no dolly, no microphone, no light, no tool, no gadget is going to make you a better, first AC, set decorator, art department person, whatever your role is on set. No trinket is going to make you better. Just taking care of yourself and your meat suit, that you walk around in your body each day is going to be the best investment that you possibly can do. So spend your money and your time just making yourself better each and every day, because that's really going to keep your mind sharp, and that's the most important thing. And when people book you, they should be booking you. They should be booking you for your expertise and who you are and what you know and how sharp you are, not because you have some expensive Arri camera or because you have a whole truck full of lights. That's not really what you should be, trying to sell, is just the equipment, because it goes out of style so fast. There's always this new cool light that's coming out and they're all getting cheaper and cheaper, and all these companies are having sales all the time. Like Amarin is having sales for all their lights, and Aperture and Arri, and they're all competing, and Cream Source to have the brightest and best and this and that light. So don't be chasing the technology. Take care of yourself, because that's health is wealth. So if you want to be doing this long term, I guarantee if you're feeling better at the end of it, you're going to have a much more successful career. But that's all I got for you guys today. If you agree with what I'm saying, and maybe you've experienced this in your own life, leave me a comment down below. Let me know. Give this video a like. Once again, I'm Scott Stevenson. Thanks for watching. Feel free to check out some of my past videos, as well as subscribe to see my future ones. All right, peace, guys.